Hey everybody, I am back with a spoiler review of Deadpool and Wolverine. I went to see it early this past Thursday, and I wanted to give you guys enough time for you to come by fully ingrained in the film, observed it, soaked it in, all that other stuff. And now it's gonna be full spoilers here, so if you haven't seen it, please don't click on this video. But I'm going to be spoiling this. Before we continue, please smash that like button, share this with your friends, follow me in the links in the description below. And without further ado, here we go. This is like an amazing film, honestly. As a matter of fact,
I'm touching myself tonight.
it's good. But I don't want people to get misconstrued or be led astray thinking that, oh, this is going to save the MCU. Don't put it on Ryan Reynolds' shoulders to do that with this film alone. Okay, this is just a good starting off point to say, like, okay, we need to reassess, get our ducks in a row so we can move forward properly. I also am against, because some people prefer to just blow up the entire like multiverse storyline and the whole TVA thingamajig, and it's like, I am probably in the minority in this, but I don't think we should do away with that wholeheartedly. At most, you should pivot, but it's not like a bad idea, because some people might get a little annoyed with the multiverse stuff. I can see their issue because the mismanagement of that in the MCU has been lacking. They did not have their ducks in a row before they started jumping onto this thing, because they too busy trying to rush everything out for their Disney Plus app. And there's like, didn't give the time for like a breather before they start working on every little thing. So things have been lacking in places. Now you're going to front. But you can see something like Spider-Man No Way Home and the Miles Morales Spider-Man films. They show how you can do a multiverse story properly. And people enjoy those films, and you never hear like, oh, I'm so tired of the multiverse thing. Yes, I agree. It can be oversaturating, not because of the premise in and of itself, but because everybody's want to hop on that bandwagon because it's making money, so everybody else is going to do it. Even if it's not in Disney, every other studio is going to try to hop on that same bandwagon. And that is in and of itself the issue, not with the whole idea of it. So people get sick of it because it's oversaturated, not because of the concept, in my opinion. But you might, disagree. You might not care for the multiversal thing, but that's how I see it. Anyway, I wanted to make a separate video entirely about this particular point, but I figured I'll just talk about it here. I got super annoyed with the overabundance of the marketing when it comes to Deadpool and Wolverine. I'd never seen, any other movie just like push the movie so hard that you're inundated, for like this past 2 weeks alone. I'm just like, and the leaks and everything, like look, people, it's certain products that people are already going to be sold on that you can guarantee, like, hey, you're going to see this. It's going to be a big deal. Like Deadpool, Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman. Those are guaranteed, like, people going to come see. Or even something like the Super Mario movie. People are going to come see this movie. There's no two ways about it. This is not no indie thing. But I think people will appreciate that you stop, like, with the leaks. People got annoyed with Spider-Man No Way Home with all these different trailer bits after the official trailer. Look, you get the teaser and then you get official trailer. In my opinion, that's all you need. I do not wish, or anybody don't want a trailer to A, spoil the whole entire film, and B, stop putting out, more stuff. It's like, okay, I don't want to know if Sabretooth is in it. I want to be surprised when I see Sabretooth. And that got spoiled for me because they shown like a trailer about a little tiny bit trailer about Sabretooth. Was like, I would like to have that, left in a surprise. It got annoying because it's not left to, like, the same way, like when Spider-Man No Way Home, a lot of people got annoyed with the excessive leaks or rumors disguised as leaks. It's like, you gotta, dial that back. You seriously have to dial that back. And then with the Daphne King X-23, it's like, I'm glad she's in it. I love her as X-23, but I want it to be a surprise. When I saw her show up in the film, that is just like, yeah, it's a great moment. But I kind of wish we left, like, because I tried my best to, like, avoid anything about this, but it's hard where no matter what you pull up, where it's like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or just generally pulling up the internet, and like you see like Bing homepage pop up, and there's like slides about the next character that might be, or rumor might be, into the film. It's like, oh my god, it drove me crazy. I kind of wish, like, studios try not to do that, and people who, like, outside, like, well, all forms of media and critics, people I follow, they really need to, like, okay, we're not gonna be the ones that gonna be, sure, they want to be the first to crack this breaking news and everything like that, but sometimes, and some people need to acknowledge, okay, we should not be putting out, like, this massive spoiler, because I'm pretty sure there's people behind a lot of these media outlets want to go see the film themselves, and it's like, well, like, not to be spoiled about the a character might show up in a film. It doesn't have to be like a Marvel film, it can be any film, and it's just like, you want the surprise. Nobody can be surprised to an extent in a film. There is surprises here. I'm shocked there wasn't any leaks about other characters showing up here. But the thing prior to this, the last time I actually got surprised in a film was when I saw Killmonger show up in Black Panther 2, which I'm amazed nobody even leaked that somehow. But I just wish, like, okay, you guys gotta dial it back when it comes to these news reports. You gotta leave something for the audience to, some wonderment for the audience. Anyway, on to the story. So, now that Disney, acquired Fox and all the Fox properties, now we finally got the Deadpool into this world where it is a cool opening, because we see him digging up the remains of the uh, of Wolverine from Logan, and he's just like a metal skeleton at this point, which uh, we get an awesome opening number where Deadpool's dancing to NSYNC's "Bye Bye Bye" while killing TVA agents coming after him in like an amazing gory fashion. And I doubt it's actually Ryan Reynolds, but it had to be like a stunt double who doing like the NSYNC dance from "Bye Bye Bye" video. That was really good. I got so immersed, like you in for a ride. And of course, as he pointed out, like, hey, like we know we shouldn't like not desecrate. And they even said it like, well, we're not going to desecrate the memory of Wolverine from Logan, while at the same time desecrating his corpse. It's funny. Because every Deadpool movie always have like a good slow-mo opening song. Some people got annoyed with like the excessive use of the pop culture music. I understand where they come from, especially the number one song, that Madonna song that was in the trailer. That got played quite a few times. They could have just spaced it out or just limited to like maybe like 3 pop songs at the most. So we get to see like a flashback to where like how Deadpool got to this point. It's always like a thing with these films. Deadpool is like not doing any mercenary work anymore. Don't know why he stopped that. And he is working with Peter at like this dealership. And he's not with Vanessa anymore, which kind of sucks. I made a video a while back about my favorite couples in movies, and like realistic couples in movies, and they were like in my list. And they never. It is one of my biggest, at least one of my problems from the movie. If I pick out one, is that they never fully explain as to why they all of a sudden broke up, especially off screen. They never really dive into it. Maybe there was some hint about like the baby they was trying to have in the last film, and maybe that didn't work out. Like maybe she miscarried, or just like I don't know. They never dive into it. But I guess that called the fracture in the relationship. So now he's living on his own. Then he, tries to utilize his skills, and they, obviously hinted at, Cable's little time gizmo. He ends up going to Earth 616, even though it's supposed to have been like the wiki thing, like they said in the Miles Morales animated Spider-Man film, Universe 1999999. But they just call it 616, like in Multiverse of Madness. So he tries to go to Happy Hogan. We see like a cameo with Jon Favreau about wanting to join the Avengers, but Happy says like, look, you got the right enthusiasm and everything like that, but you don't come to ask to join the Avengers. It's something you just don't just join. You gotta, it's something that they look to you, that kind of thing. So he tells him, kind of like the way Tony did with Peter Parker, is that you work on your level, stay on the ground kind of situation. And I kind of like that Happy kind of adopted that lesson, so that way, and then applied it to Deadpool, because you don't just try to shoot for the moon when you're not ready yet. So is Wade's birthday. We get to see only Shatterstar from X-Force, Peter, Vanessa, Colossus, Yukio, Negasonic, Bhupinder, the bearded guy from the first movie. It's funny where it's like, yeah, it's like, are you trying to ad lib right now? It's trying to avoid him getting a speaking line. It's kind of funny. Oh crap! I'm missing somebody. Blind Owl, and of course, like, T.J. Miller's character is not there, Weasel, but Shatterstar, Colossus. That was the one I'm missing. Colossus is also there. They all celebrating his birthday, even though he's essentially immortal. So a lot of them will grow old and die. So like he probably be like the only one alive in 60 years time. Which it's kind of hard not to think about that. Characters like Wolverine and Deadpool, anybody with healing powers like them, don't age. At least it takes a very, very, very long age. And as a matter of fact, I'm glad that Wolverine pointed it out. He actually said, the number that we all know, because he was born in the 1700s, that he's 200 years old, and he still looks like he's 40. So then the TVA comes. Oh, before we get into it, I love the dynamic between Blind Owl and Deadpool. It's just like their banter back and forth is hilarious, and all the stuff that it was in the trailer. All the things, all the drugs they cannot take because, hey, YMS the goat, what's up? It's like the listing all the drugs that can't partake anymore because they now is under Disney, and Kevin Feige doesn't, say that they can't do that no more. But then, as he blow out his candle, the so knock at the door. Wade comes and sees this group of TVA agents, and they take him to the TVA. And crap, what is that guy's name? The British guy who plays as Paradox, because he was very funny. What is Matthew McFadden, and he is, I guess, kind of took this, like the put in a position where Mobius from the Loki series would have been. And if you watch my comic book review of She-Hulk, I did a little while ago, where she meets the TVA agents for the first time. There's 3 judges for the TVA: Mobius, Ouroboros or OB, and Paradox. And Paradox here says, like, okay, we, the people at the top, see you as a special commodity. We give you a chance to go to 616, and you give you a chance to be part of the Avengers and everything like that. and they give him like a suit up moment, and of course it's like a gratuitous, because why shouldn't it be, where this mustachioed gentleman kept slapping him on the butt and the crotch for some reason. It's just a repeat. This is the P word. It's like, man, your tailor is kind of like a P word. He actually said the word, but I can't say it here, YouTube, But it was really funny. But Paradox tells him that, no, we just need you. Your world's about to end. It's like, what? Well, your anchor point is no longer alive, so that means we have to start erasing that particular timeline. And of course, it helps if you've seen the Loki TV show. And I really, really enjoyed the Loki TV show. In terms of like the Disney Plus original, TV show content, Loki ranks very high in my opinion. And then like Hawkeye is probably right below that. Say what you will. It's like Disney Plus has its problems here and there. But in terms of original content, Loki's very high for me, at least for me. And I'm shocked there was no cameo with Tom Hiddleston if you involving like TVA stuff. But I don't know, because I know he's got his stories and he's holding like the multiverse together himself. You could send like an image, like a hologram or just projected image of himself anywhere all at once kind of situation. For like a cameo appearance, since you're doing cameos. But Deadpool is obviously not loving that, because he got a family and friends that he doesn't want them gone. And as Paradox points out, it's like they won't really feel a thing. It's like they'll know something happened, and by the time it registers, they're non-existent. So Deadpool steals his, I'm surprised there's no Miss Minutes cameo either. He takes this little time gizmo, and Deadpool thinks like, okay, since my Wolverine died in Logan, so we'll just get a replacement. So you get this awesome montage of all these cool appearances of different types of Wolverines from the comics, like the comic accurate short Wolverine. Then you get, Wolverine getting, nailed to like an X monument with a bunch of skulls at the bottom. You get, Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, which a lot of them are Hugh Jackman. You get Patch. But then you get a Henry Cavill Wolverine, and he's big, man. It's like, God, this dude is huge. And it's like the little line from Deadpool. It's like, we'll treat you better than the guys down the street. It was really funny. And I think most of the jokes, that got the biggest laugh is, ones making references of stuff that happened, with these people outside of the movies that they've been in. And matter of fact, because I follow Henry Cavill, and there was like an image of him with like, sideburns and everything like that. I don't know what it was. At that time I didn't know what that was referencing until I saw this. Like, okay. But man, he would have make an amazing Wolverine. Just big and like just intimidating on himself, and he pulls off that gruffness very well. And it's like, I don't know, he has been done dirty, as a lot of his films have not really done successfully, except for maybe like, A Man from U.N.C.L.E. and the Mission Impossible film he was in. I think those two probably like he has the biggest standouts though with those. And maybe that Sherlock Holmes thing, even though that's more a Millie Bobby Brown Netflix thing, more so than a Sherlock Holmes thing, which he plays as Sherlock Holmes. But it should be like a Sherlock Holmes dedicated for him to do his thing. But other than that, he's just been working with like working on that Warhammer Amazon project, which he's like a huge nerd, and he just like, I would love to work with Henry Cavill as an actor. I would love to work with him. That's my dream coworker to work with in terms of acting. He's just like an amazing nerd, and he knows his stuff. He puts together his own like computer and hard drive. Like, this dude is like a real guy's guy. Oh God, it's like him, Michael B. Jordan, and Jason Momoa is like the three dudes that I want to be like best friends with, man. And of course, like Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. It's like, God, they look like real kind of guys like you just want to be friends with so bad. But anyway, so eventually, all those other guys. Oh, he run into like a Wolverine wearing like the brown and yellow suit, fighting the Hulk, which is the savage one, like we saw from the first Avengers. And you get the cool classic, panel or cover look where he pops his claws and you see the reflection of the Hulk. And we didn't get to spend at least a little bit more time just to see, because like we technically got it, but you want to actually see a little bit of the fight, just Hulk versus Wolverine. And it was so awesome. And it would have been also awesome to see like Steve Bloom's Wolverine in live action, because that would have been dope. Because dude is like in terms of voice acting, he's like the Hugh Jackman for voice acting when it comes to Wolverine. Is Steve Bloom and Hugh Jackman. Those two have been playing Wolverine for such a long time. Those two, should have been in the same in the same movie together, at the very least. Man. But eventually Wade come across the Wolverine that we'll be following along in this film at this bar, and he's getting drunk, even though it's like with your healing factor that shouldn't people with healing factors can't get drunk, at least not for at least it's only temporarily drunk before it just kind of resets in your brain and now you're sober again in the next few minutes. But he's down in the dumps, for a reason. But since Deadpool has like at least 72 hours to try to get like a replacement Wolverine before his universe is eradicated, it's like, okay, this is going to be good enough. And he grabs this Wolverine, and he's wearing his iconic blue and yellow suit. Now, of course, it's all sleeve, but eventually it gets torn up and he's sleeveless halfway through the film because Hugh Jackman has like a skin condition and his arms will, it's a whole thing. So, people are not too bothered by it. There's been times in Wolverine has always been like sleeveless in his costume, so it's like it's not really a big deal. But you got it, and it turns out Paradox says like, hey, and then it's of course it rolls back to what we saw at the beginning with him going to the Logan world trying to dig up his bones, and then he finds the Wolverine that we'll be following along with. And it turns out, because I probably thought the same thing, where Paradox points out like you can't just go to another universe and pick out a Wolverine to replace it with another one that's died. It doesn't work that way. And it's like why would you think that will work? And it's like, not, as we've seen from other films that's doing multiverse stuff, they, each one belongs into like, as like you saw from like crap, I'm blanking on those like Miles Morales movies, but I kind of wish they do the glitch thing, because you would think scientifically that would kind of, you know, correlate a bit. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I'm not Neil deGrasse Tyson, but I'm pretty sure he would like even say there's probably some substance to what they brought in a movie that, different. There's different things, different sciences, different biologies, different a lot of different things going on in different universes. Some might be the same, some might not be, but it's like like it shows in the movie, their atoms don't align with the universe they're in, and they end up glitching until they eventually start glitching out. I kind of wish they kind of kept that as like a momentum thing, because all in all, you would think like all this Marvel stuff is all in one package now. Ever since No Way Home, it's kind of like, okay, Sony and Fox now, they all roll into one. So it's like all of it is canon at this point. They all are, part of the cinematic universe, by this point. So you'll think in the Miles Morales films, it's like the whole glitching thing will probably kind of like correlate. I will enjoy the consistency, but I guess you don't technically have to do that. So it just something that's just now thought about. I don't know. It's not a big deal, but each person belongs to their own significant universe. So it's kind of like, can't just replace one when the other died. As we saw from Miguel O'Hara, it's like he tried to replace himself and it didn't work. Like I said, it's two different movies, so I guess it doesn't really have to align perfectly. But anyway, so Paradox ends up sending them to the void, where we saw, all those different Lokis show up and meeting each other with, like, Kid Loki and President Loki and everything like that. Now we get to see some awesome fights between, great choreography between Wolverine and Deadpool, and like very little editing when it comes to certain fight scenes, and I appreciate that. And mind you, I think this is around this point when they probably shot this scene, is when that strike started happening, so they had to stop everything for a while. And I think they probably affected the film a little bit. I'm pretty sure other aficionados can point out how something feels like maybe kind of slow, or something added last minute or something like that. I didn't perceive that, so I can't really speak on that, but it's something that came to mind, when I went to go see this film. It's like, yeah, man, I forgot there was like a strike thing happening around this point when they was filming this last year. But anyway, but great shots all around. Then they notice a rogue figure warning them about these vehicles showing up, and we get to see the return of the OG Sabretooth. Kind of wish it was Lee Schreiber's Sabretooth, but we finally get like, man, it's kind of sucks, because like, man, you would want, because you see Sabretooth and Wolverine seeing each other, and it's just like on sight, like they don't like each other. It's like every time I see you, I'm gonna fight you because I do not like you. You're like, one's a psychopath, and it's like, I gotta take. And it's like, I want to see like a little bit of a drag out fight between these two, but Wolverine quickly cut his head off. But you see, the rogue figure is Chris Evans, but I'm pretty sure a few people like Deadpool thought, oh, this is Captain America, a different version. But no, it is Johnny Storm, Chris Evans from the Fantastic Four. And you see him like, flame on, and it's like, God, it's like I missed that. And I really want to rewatch those Fantastic, the first two Fantastic Four films. But you see him tries to attack these guys, but one of the leaders in this caravan is Pyro from X2 and X3, all grown up now. And of course, it's like he manipulates fire, so he's like the perfect, foil for Johnny Storm. It's like he has no chance against Pyro, honestly. And he sucks up all of his fire, and he ends up falling to the ground. And I thought he broke his neck because he hit his head on like a post or something like that, but he's alive somehow. And that was one of the things I was worried about. I knew there was going to be some cameos, but I think this is where people's concern, because there's been some comparison between this and Multiverse of Madness, which is kind of unfair, but I can see their point, because when you see these cameos come about, most of them have significant agency in the film and ain't just here to be killed off, which, unlike half of the people that you, at least more than half, that you see in Multiverse of Madness gets killed off unceremoniously, and it's just like a bummer because you want to see them in action, but they was there for like maybe 5 minutes, while the counts we see here, most of them are here for a significant portion of the film, because it's trying to give them like some just due. But these two movies serve two different purposes, so I know it's comparing apples to oranges, but I personally don't think it's very fair to Multiverse of Madness. I still enjoy that film. It's probably honestly my favorite horror film I ever seen in my life, because it was Sam Raimi, mind you. So it's like, it served the purpose that it needed to serve, while this is serving like a different purpose that it needs to serve. So all three people are getting captured, and you see Ray Park as Toad again. That was pretty dope. We don't get Vinnie Jones as Juggernaut, but you get a different person as Juggernaut and a different person as Lady Deathstrike. I kind of wish we get the lady who played her in X2 again, because that would have been fun, but technically she would have gotten killed off, so I don't know, maybe just picked a different Lady Deathstrike from a different universe. But then we get to see Azazel, Nightcrawler's dad, his real dad, not Mystique dressed up as a man kind of situation. His dad, pretty sure is played by the same person from First Class, but it's fun to see this dude and all three guys see Cassandra Nova, who is in the comics Charles Xavier's twin sister, who technically would have died in childbirth, but by some machinations she ended up surviving or born in a different way and became like an antagonist for him, because Charles Xavier, outside of Magneto, doesn't really have like a real arch enemy. Because I think Legion, because that's his like son, that depending on the writer, tries to have a relationship with, but the boy refused to because he feels abandoned. Then of course is Magneto, but he works with him every once in a while, especially a lot recently. But then you got Cassandra Nova, who probably would be like a legit enemy because she's a freaking psychopath under that charming visage. So she has like massive powers too. It's like mind manipulation and telekinesis, and I think a fair bit of I don't know if it's reality, not reality warping, but it's just like her powers is very comparable to Charles Xavier. She ends up killing Johnny Storm in the most gruesome manner I ever seen. He just takes his skin and he's just like a pile of like meat and bones. Because Wade's shooting off his freaking mouth, talking about all the slick stuff he was saying about her, and it's like got him killed straight up. But Johnny did bring up that, about the world, because apparently the other three of the Fantastic Four was with him, but I guess they end up getting killed. There's many other heroes that showed up in this void because of the TVA, and Cassandra Nova killed a significant amount of them. And of course, she, living in this big, place that's from the corpse of an Ant-Man, not the one that we're familiar with, just a different version. But that is just like a reference to an Old Man Logan story, which we get to see like a true Old Man Logan in like a very cowboy-esque kind of look. It almost look like Clint Eastwood a bit, that Wade tried to find, but he ended up getting shot by this dude. It was pretty funny. But anyway, so Cassandra knows like powers is on a whole nother scale. She gets inside Wade's head and is you see her like putting her fingers through their minds, and it's body horror at its finest, man. But you get to see a little bit of what happened with Wade and Vanessa, but it's just still not fully explained. But they managed to make the escape because of Eliath showing up and starts like showing up like as to feed, essentially. Cassandra Nova, every once in a while, like I don't remember the time frame she points out, like once a month or once a week or something like that. It shows up for it's like feeding. So she intends to offer up Wade and Wolverine, but Wolverine tries to stab her, but she's like, too powerful. She can't die. But they find like a Sentinel leg, I think, and just use it to rocket off, far away. And we get a little bit of insight about what happened with Wolverine and his X-Men. He ended up getting drunk. He didn't feel like he needs to be a part of some kind of team. Then humans showed up at the mansion, killed all the X-Men. So he went berserk, went to kill the perpetrators, and not just them, but anybody that got in his way and their families. He just went on like a berserker kind of thing. And that's how he was known by Paradox as the worst Wolverine, because he let his team get killed. Which it seems like, I don't know how that would classify him as like the worst Wolverine, because I would view like worst Wolverine where he's like completely inept, or like just don't put any of the effort, or not utilizing his skills whatsoever, or just plain old lazy or something like that, to show that he is the worst Wolverine because he doesn't take action or anything like that. It seems like he's very action oriented when the need arises. It's not like he completely brushed everything off, but it just, I don't know, worse depending on your point of view, I guess. But that's why he's trying to drink himself, to oblivion. But then they end up coming across Dogpool being catered to by Nicepool, also played by Ryan Reynolds, without the scarred face. And it was like one of his funniest moments, which comes later, where it shows how he can break the fourth wall too. But it's so lackluster. He just looks at the camera. It's like, the proposal. And that got the biggest laugh out of my theater, because it's just like, What was that? He just made a reference to a movie. You just named a movie. You didn't do any setup, or it wasn't clever at all, but it just made it funny irregardless. Man, that was so dumb, but it was funny as hell. But he points out where the, like, I guess refugees, other good people that can assist him getting out of the void, because Deadpool made a deal with Wolverine saying, like, the TVA has what they need to easily go back in time to correct what had happened, so we can get your X-Men back. So they get into a Honda, while of course Wade jokes about how crappy it is, but that's how you do a product placement, because if you're gonna do a product placement, you gotta do something fun with it, and not just use it to just smash up like you see in like Man of Steel, or just like in the Power Rangers movie where you got Krispy Kreme and it's like, I don't know, you just go there to eat, and it's like, this is not really all that fun. It's like, this is how you do it. It's like, you go for it. And it's like, and that's where they driving off to meet up with the other refugees, and these two get into an argument because they're banter, because he's a silly dude and he's a straight man. Their banter back and forth is just top notch, chemistry I ever seen in a film before. This is like pitch perfect chemistry. It's insane how good it is. The only others I can think of in terms of top flight chemistry is maybe like Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt in like Interview with a Vampire. Their chemistry is very top notch too, but this takes it a whole nother level. But Wade ends up letting it slip that he might not know if the TVA is capable of actually fixing what happened. And so he says, like, I took an educated wish. And that comedy comes in threes sometimes, because they use this line a lot in the film, and Wolverine looks at him such a confused look. The facial expressions with Hugh Jackman is top notch. He, okay, Wade has his dramatic moments too to offset, the comedy. He's not like just all jokes. He has some, dramatic weight from time to time. Even with the mask on, you can just feel it. But, Logan just looks at him like, did you just say you took an educated wish? And he just goes off on Wade. It's like, you're just, I lived for 200 years and I never met a person that's so annoying and so idiotic I ever met in my life. No wonder, your girl left you. Your own stripper girlfriend had to leave you. That is pathetic. And of course, that kind of struck a nerve with Wade, and he's like, I'm gonna punch you now. He's like, I'm gonna fight you now. And he just like, kind of like X-23, just like wham, right between the eyes with Logan, and you get to see this bloody fight in this Honda. And of course, Wade ends up taking it back. I was like, man, this Honda actually kick ass. And then there's like literally 24 hours straight, these two are just fighting, killing, and stabbing each other, and and it's just like they're fighting, tearing up this freaking car to ribbons. And of course, they end up passing out the next day because they just kept on fighting. And then a mysterious person comes in the car, drives off into a little hideaway, and they meet up in this cave. And this is like, an awesome moment here where you see Jennifer Garner's Elektra shows up, Wesley Snipes' Blade shows up, and then Channing Tatum's Gambit shows up with accurate costumes. And the people giving Channing Tatum crap, but because he's a bulky dude, and it's like the comic accurate. It could have made it like cloth with the sock head thing, but it looks rubbery. So, and I'm pretty sure it's kind of hot and all that kind of stuff. It's like they could have reworked that a little bit, but and then you get, of course, see X-23 Daphne Keene still play that role perfectly. And of course, Channing Tatum, if you know what happened behind the scenes, where he always wanted to play Gambit, but it never got off the ground for whatever reason. But we actually now get to see him play as Gambit, and it's like I can actually see him as Gambit if they tone down the ridiculous Cajun accent, because he's very thick with that accent. And of course, that's the running joke that Wade has with him. But it turns out their world ends up getting annihilated by the TVA because, I guess that story ended kind of situation, because her and Daredevil got, blasted here. But Daredevil, Punisher, don't know which Punisher. I'm assuming it was the Thomas Jane version, because that's like the favorite one, outside maybe like besides maybe John Barenthal. But Magneto was here at some point. Some Magneto, don't know which one. There's only two so far that we already know. He got killed, and apparently like a Doctor Strange was here, but he ended up getting killed. Like I said, with the other three, now four Fantastic Four members all died. But it would have been awesome to see, the original Fantastic Four with like Ian Gifford and Jessica Alba and Michael Chiklis all show up. That would have been awesome to see. But Cassandra Nova killed a lot of them when they tried to mount up an attack on her fortress, but they were essentially no match. Because with her psychic abilities, there's no way they can get close to her to doing damage. And she ended up melting down Magneto's helmet, and the only other helmet that is capable of blocking her is Juggernaut's helmet. So you needed to take that off. But you get to see this dynamic here, and Wade apologized, like, I'm so sorry about your Daredevil, and she's going like, it's all right. And of course, like, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner were together, but they end up getting divorced. So it's kind of like an inside joke. It's like, it's all right. So that got a laugh out of there. And of course, we know the relationship between Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds from Blade Trinity wasn't all that good behind the scenes, because Wesley was kind of like a diva behind the scenes. And of course, this is slightly before he ended up going to prison for tax evasion and all that other stuff. So he was going through some stuff, but they kind of like buried a hatchet and it's got like a better relationship now. So it's like a funny little dynamic between these two, where it's like Wesley's like Blade was like, I don't like you. It's like a fun little thing. So they all come up with like a plan to like breach the fortress, so that way it can try to steal Juggernaut's helmet, so we can put it on Cassandra Nova's head, because she's the only one with knowledge of a way out of the void. As a matter of fact, it's amazing that magic is the key, pretty much, of getting out of the void, because she has a sling ring. So I'm shocked that any spellcasters whatsoever throughout the multiverse ever popped up in here without a way out, or any kind of way to cut them off from their powers, because in TVA, your powers are probably cut off if you watch Loki, the Loki series, this kind of prevents them from actually using certain gifts. But once they're in the void, they got full access to them now. So it's like, how can you keep certain people like magic users from escaping via their own magic? because they will have like significant knowledge, at least enough to figure out a way out. It's kind of weird. But anyway, of course, Wolverine is not like a team player right now, and he has like a nice little sit down at the campfire with him and X-23, and she points out that her Wolverine was not all that different from him. You always never that guy until you are. There's a nice little back and forth between these two. She essentially got her father back in a way. And he, got something to fight for now. So they end up breaching a fortress, and you get to see and unlike Multiverse of Madness, which I was so worried that these guys are gonna get killed off on like some stupid thing, but they end up fighting, like hell with all those people, and it turns out that Pyro was working behind the scenes with Paradox, kind of sort of like, he has some kind of deal with Cassandra Nova, but he also had like a secret deal with Pyro to make sure Cassandra Nova stays in the void. But he sends her, people to play with or whatever, just to keep her entertained, essentially. Because she just likes the void. So while Wolverine has her in his mind, Deadpool gets the moment needed, because after X-23 takes down the Juggernaut, they steal the helmet, put it on her head, but then Pyro shows up, shoots her, and there's a funny moment. Pyro's about to go off about like his ordeal dealing with Cassandra Nova after all these years. He just Logan just punches him right out. It's like, now everybody gets a speech. It's kind of funny. I was like, oh my god, that was hilarious. But this shows like the heroism for Wolverine here, because you gotta take off. Like, he tells Wade to take off the helmet. We need her to get us out of here. And it's like, no way. As soon as we take it off, she's gonna kill us. And Nita's like, look, we take this off. You promise not to kill us. And it's like, and she's like, I promise I will kill you both. It's like, I appreciate the fact that she was straight up honest. She wasn't BSing. It's like, she is such an evil ass. And she's like reveling, and she's smiling while she's bleeding to death. The fact that she still wants to kill these two. It's like, fuck. But Wolverine says every bone in my body screaming to kill you right here and now, but that's not what Charles would have wanted. If Charles knew you were alive and in a place like this, he would tear open reality just to find you and bring you home. That's what I'm want to do. I'm doing this for him. And it shows that the respect Wolverine always has for Charles and his dream, and and how because of Charles taught Wolverine he's more than some kind of animal. He's a man, and it's just like all that. If you watching all this X-Men stuff, all this coming to a head. So they took off the helmet. She allows them to leave using the sling ring, and they hop through the portal before Alive comes in and starts gobbling up more people. Who knows if the heroes got sucked in, but she has so they hopped over through the into the portal into Wade's main universe. Well, Nova talks with Pyro about what his plan was, And it's like this little funny dynamic. He is great in this. Like Pyro, the actor who plays Pyro is great in this. And it's like, oh, don't do the finger thing. Just ask. Why don't you just ask me sometimes? Uh, and she's like, fine, I'll put my hands in my pocket, kind of thing. And he just tells her, and it's like, this is fun. Like, oh my god, everybody in this film is just like doing an amazing job, man. And all of their, just the skills and everything like that, man. It is really fun. Uh, so, uh, we see that Paradox is assembling this mechanism to prepare to eradicate this particular branch. And there we see like the character who was in the Loki series, B23, I think that was her name. Uh, uh, oh, you get the Russian from so it was Thomas Jane's Punisher that was here too, but got killed off screen. But it would have been fun to see him. But we see like the Russian again, who was in the first, like, in the Thomas James Punisher. Uh, 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 as a Russian was in here too. Uh, apparently, Bullseye, and Psylocke was here, as well as Callisto. But I'm pretty sure we didn't recognize, because I don't think not Olivia Wilde, Olivia Munn. I don't think she reprised a role as Psylocke in here, but somebody did play as Psylocke, Bullseye, the Russian, Callisto, and Lady Deathstrike here. And apparently Blob was here, but I didn't notice him. But we got Wunmi Masaku, who plays Hunter B15. Yeah, Hunter B15. Realizing, like, oh, hey, somebody was using an unauthorized little machine to eradicate this particular timeline. So now she's privy here. So now we see that Nova is coming out from the void with plans of herself. Plans for herself with, utilizing Paradox's machine to eradicate all the multiverse, but the void itself. So there's no other way out but the void. So now Wolverine and Deadpool has to stop her. But Nova ends up bringing in all different versions of Deadpool. And we get to see Lady Deadpool and Kidpool, played by Ryan Reynolds' wife, Blake Lively, and their kid, don't know their kid's name, but he was Kidpool. And he allows his kid to mouth off like that. It's kind of wild. It's kind of funny. But we get to see Zenpool, and I'm pretty sure there was Deadpool 2099, which in the comics is played by Wade's, daughter. It's crazy that you never even about to reference that. I guess that's the reference enough. If you know, I guess you know. I'm pretty sure there's certain comic book fans can easily point out different versions of these different types of Deadpools, but I'm familiar with the Deadpool core, which is Headpool from the zombie universe, which in the What If series had like an episode dedicated to the Marvel zombies. So I'm shocked there wasn't no reference beyond just Deadpool to that world. But you got Ronin Deadpool from like the Ronin comics, which I really want to do a review on in the future. Zenpool, this is black and white type of like Buddhist monk type of Deadpool. So there's a cowboy. Yeah, there's a lot of different types of Deadpools. I don't know them all by name, all the ones I'm familiar with. And it's shocked that Kipple in the comics has lightsabers. So given the fact that Disney owns Star Wars, you can allow Kipple to wield lightsaber katanas. It's kind of man. But you see, like, finally, Wolverine dons his mask, and you see the expression of the eyes and everything like that, straight up from the comics. There's some people who don't feel comfortable in how it looks because it's a little off-putting. But I was I wasn't bothered by it whatsoever. This is like comic accurate. I want people who wear masks to have expression in the eyes, like Deadpool and Spider-Man. I want Batman to have those type of masks like that. Just fully embrace it. But it's fun just to see this one-shot side scroller thing of Wolverine and Deadpool killing all these different types of Deadpools. And of course, except for Dogpool and Nicepool, because Nicepool is the only one that doesn't have regenerative powers, and he uses it as a human shield, and it's just like so mean. And he did all that so he can have Nicepool's golden guns. And I was like, God, you're an ass. But it's like an awesome little scene, and it's just like when they lead into this bus where they just like killing all these Deadpools, and just like blood and guts all over the place as dismemberment. It was so cool, and they just burst out in a very comic book type of panel thing when it burst out the back. But of course Wade falls on his butt in the sequence. It was so funny and so awesome at the same time. But then they turn around when they see like all those Deadpools they just killed rise back up because, like, duh, they have healing factors. But then Peter shows up in a Deadpool costume, and they all get distracted because, like, oh my God, it's Peter. Every Deadpool in every universe has a Peter. Peter is awesome. They all love Peter. They praise him. It's like Peter is just like every Deadpool's best friend. But then they end up finding Paradox and ask them, okay, how do we stop this? Well, we need to, the machine's powered by this type of positive and negative, type of energy. And they called it, something scientific. I'm blanking on the name right now. But it's like, different particles that it doesn't belong together, and one exists in a different type of a spectrum of the universe. And Wolverine attempts to go in there because Wade has somebody to live for. He doesn't. But Wade goes in instead and tries to connect the thing, even though they will be atomized if one tries it, but they work together, and they manage to kill Nova in the process while they disrupt her plans. And of course, B-15 shows up, arrests Paradox, and arranges to make sure that Deadpool's world isn't eradicated. And of course, but Wolverine, she can't, go use the TVA to go back and help his X-Men because their deaths led you to become a hero right now for this moment. So changing that would change this. So can't do that. So he stays in this universe and hangs out with Wade and his family. And we get to see X-23 show up. So, because he made some comment about like there's heroes in the void that, helped us out. We wouldn't have gotten this far without them. So maybe we might see Jennifer Garner, Wesley Snipes, and Channing Tatum again as Blade, Gambit, and Elektra at some point in the future, maybe in the Secret Wars film, because it's supposedly Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man supposed to show up in that as well, and possibly Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man and Chris Evans' Captain America. That's seems to be on, is not confirmed, but seems to be leaning towards that as a strong possibility, but we'll see. Of course, there is like two types of credits. One during the credit roll, where it's kind of like what happened like footage behind the scenes of various Fox Marvel movies, which is kind of like an homage and like a thank you to the Fox Marvel films. Whether you liked some of them or you didn't, they took part in what we have today. Where, for good or for worse, they earned our respect and appreciation for what they put out for us. It's a shame that we didn't get Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider. That would have been awesome. But then we get like a final end credit with Wade trying to prove to us like, no, I didn't get Johnny killed. And he shows like a, camera where it was spying on them in a caravan where he's really is going off about Cassandra Nova. While we thought, Wade was making all that up. And he's like, see, I didn't get Johnny killed. Ha, take that. And that's where the movie ends. So I'm glad, because we don't need to do the setting up for the next thing kind of thing. It's like, because, try not to make any, strong promises, which is probably right way to go for now. But this is a really good movie. I enjoyed a lot of this. The two gripes I have about it is the a little bit more showing of how that Wade and Vanessa broke up, which they kind of hint at the end that they might be getting back together now that Wolverine's encouraging him to do so, and him having like a relationship with X-23, which is dope. But then with Deadpool, and then a little bit more could have been shown about what happened with Wolverine's X-Men, because how do a group of humans just show up and get killed off by the X-Men, which half of them can easily repel these guys from ever setting foot on the grounds? Maybe there's like Sentinels involved. That's the only other way I can think of. But it's just like that wasn't really fully explained. I kind of wish they would have dived a little bit deeper into it just to elevate, the drama of their, perspectives and what's driving them. But beyond that, solid movie. Very good. Highly recommend. That was Deadpool and Wolverine. If you saw it, please let me know what you guys thought. Was your favorite movie, favorite part of the movie? What the Easter eggs that you guys saw that other people haven't talked about yet? And I'll see you guys in a little bit. I'm probably gonna, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm doing like a reaction of I might do it, tomorrow. I'm kind of exhausted right now. I went to the gym today and I wanted to talk about this movie. But I think maybe tomorrow evening I will go back to doing some reaction to the second part of Destiny's 2, Witch Queen story. But I will see you guys then. Take care. Have a pleasant weekend. Peace. Oh, and by the way, I did wear my Deadpool shirt for this particular review. I had to. But anyway, I will see you guys next time. Take care. Have a great weekend.